There comes a moment when life no longer feels fair, when the people you trusted turn their backs, when your plans collapse, and when every ounce of energy seems to drain from your soul. You sit there, silent, realizing that the world will not pause for your pain. This is the moment Machiavelli spoke of, when illusion dies and truth is born. The truth that no one is coming to save you. The truth that weakness invites predators. And the truth that survival in this world requires the cold strength of mind. Machiavelli understood the brutal simplicity of life. The strong are respected, the weak are ignored. But strength is not just physical or financial, it is mental. It is the power to keep standing when the world pushes you to your knees. It is the ability to act rationally when your emotions scream for chaos. To train your mind to be unbreakable is to become the rare individual who cannot be manipulated, destroyed, or defeated, because you have mastered the one battlefield that matters most, your own mind. Cold acceptance, the foundation of power. Machiavelli believed that the moment a man starts wishing the world were different, he begins to weaken himself. The downfall of most people, he said, is not caused by circumstance, but by denial. They cling to fantasies of fairness, of moral justice, of a universe that will eventually make things right. They wait for karma to strike, for people to change, for luck to turn in their favor. But the world does not bend to the soft-hearted. It bends to those who understand its nature and move within it accordingly. To Machiavelli, strength began with clarity, the ability to look at reality without illusion. He would have said, "Stop asking for the world to be kind. It never promised you kindness. Learn how to move through its cruelty without breaking." Cold acceptance is not emotional numbness. It is awareness sharpened into a weapon. It is the realization that pain, betrayal, loss, and chaos are not personal punishments, they are natural laws of existence. When you stop expecting fairness, you stop being shocked by disappointment. When you stop demanding comfort, pain loses its power to frighten you. You stop asking, "Why me?" and start saying, "Now what?" You begin to play the game on its real terms. You understand that fairness is an illusion of the weak, a construct created by those too afraid to face how ruthless the world truly is. The strong, on the other hand, accept this ruthlessness and adapt their minds around it. Every blow that life delivers becomes a teacher in disguise. Every failure becomes data. Every rejection, feedback. Every betrayal, revelation. The world does not exist to destroy you. It exists to refine you. But it will only refine those who stop taking its lessons personally. If you cry out against every hardship, you remain its victim. But if you stare back at life's cruelty and say, "Teach me," then every hardship becomes a form of training. The unbreakable mind is not born from privilege or comfort. It is forged in friction, in struggle, in the relentless confrontation with truth. Those who resist reality are broken by it. They crumble under disappointment because their strength depends on idealism. But those who embrace reality, who can look into the cold face of truth without flinching, become untouchable. They do not waste energy on complaint or despair. They adapt, they adjust, they move forward. This is what Machiavelli meant by power, not control over others, but control over one's own mind. To see the world clearly, without illusions, and still have the will to act decisively within it, that is the foundation of all true strength. Cold acceptance is not giving up. It is the point where your emotions stop dictating your fate and reason begins to rule it. Mastering emotion, the warrior's discipline. Machiavelli understood one of the most dangerous truths about human nature. The moment you let your emotions govern you, you hand your enemies the map to your destruction. Every reaction, every burst of anger, every visible insecurity reveals where to strike. He observed that men who cannot control their tempers are easily manipulated, and those who cannot manage their fear are easily ruled. In politics, in war, in personal life, the same law applies. He who masters his emotions governs the situation. He who does not becomes a slave to it. That is why Machiavelli admired calmness. Not the calmness of indifference, but the calmness of discipline. The unshaken composure of one who can feel deeply, yet never lose control. To master your emotions does not mean to erase them. It means to dominate them. It means when betrayal burns, you think before you act. When chaos erupts, you breathe before you speak. When someone provokes you, you watch instead of reacting. The weak equate silence with defeat, but Machiavelli knew that silence is the most strategic move of all. While others waste their strength, shouting, defending, and reacting, the disciplined mind observes patterns, collects information, and waits for the right moment to strike. Every time you hold back an emotional outburst, you store energy. You save it for precision, for advantage, for control. This is what separates warriors of the mind from the ordinary. The ordinary person reacts to everything, to insults, to fear, to stress. And in doing so, they reveal their vulnerabilities. But the Machiavellian thinker remains still, even under fire. They study the chaos around them, but never let it enter their inner world. They know that power does not come from emotion, but from clarity. The ability to see through manipulation, to detect motives hidden behind smiles, to decide not out of rage but out of reason, that is true strength. It is the emotional equivalent of armor. You might feel the impact, but it no longer pierces you. The world is full of noise, full of people screaming their feelings into the void. The calm man stands out. And because he stands out, he commands respect. His silence intimidates. His composure unsettles. His restraint becomes his weapon. He does not need to raise his voice because his presence already carries authority. This is the essence of Machiavellian discipline. Control your emotions and you control perception. Control perception and you control power. The man who governs himself cannot be broken because no one and nothing can manipulate what he refuses to expose.
3. Detachment from approval, the death of weakness. The hunger for approval is the invisible chain that keeps most people enslaved. They live not as themselves, but as reflections of what others want them to be. Every thought, every choice, every dream is filtered through one question: will they like me for this? It is the softest form of imprisonment because it feels safe. People seek comfort in belonging, in validation, in the warmth of acceptance. But Machiavelli knew that the need to be liked is the quickest path to weakness. He warned that the one who depends on affection will one day be destroyed by it. It is better to be feared than loved, he wrote, if you cannot be both. But that statement was not about cruelty. It was about independence. It was about freeing oneself from the desperate pull of approval that makes most people predictable and controllable. When you detach from the need for validation, you stop living reactively. You stop shaping your behavior to win approval or avoid criticism. You begin to act from principle, not pressure. You start asking not will they like it, but is it right? Is it strong? Is it mine? And in that moment, you become dangerous because you no longer fit into the emotional traps that others rely on. The world runs on manipulation through approval. Politicians promise acceptance. Lovers offer affection. Societies create norms to maintain conformity. The one who no longer needs to be liked is untouchable by all of it. They cannot be blackmailed by public opinion, by rejection, or by loneliness. This detachment gives birth to a new kind of strength, quiet but absolute. You stop chasing validation and start earning respect through action. You stop seeking to please and begin to lead. People might misunderstand you, even dislike you, but secretly they will admire you, because independence is magnetic. Those who cannot free themselves from the approval of others will always feel small next to those who can. And that is why the unbreakable mind must detach from validation, because true power cannot coexist with dependence. Machiavelli would say that freedom begins the moment you stop apologizing for being different. When you stop justifying your silence, your solitude, your ambition. When you stop asking permission to be who you are. Once the opinions of others no longer define your direction, you become the rarest kind of person, one who moves according to reason, not fear, one who acts according to strength, not expectation. And in that calm detachment, you achieve the most feared and respected state of all, self-sovereignty.
4. The art of withstanding pain. Pain is the great equalizer. It visits kings and beggars alike, stripping away illusions until only truth remains. Machiavelli understood that pain is not the enemy of power, but its crucible. It burns away the fragile, the entitled, the naive, and leaves behind only what can endure. He never glorified suffering, but he saw it for what it truly is, the most honest test of a person's mind. The weak seek to escape it. The strong seek to understand it. The soft man hides from pain because it threatens his illusions. The strong man endures it because he knows it is the only path to clarity. In Machiavelli's world, pain was not a punishment. It was instruction. Most people collapse under pain not because the pain is unbearable, but because their minds are untrained. They believe that suffering is unfair, that it shouldn't happen, that it means something is wrong. But pain, in its pure form, is just information, a signal that something within you must change, adapt, or harden. When life breaks you, it is rarely your body that gives way. It is your perception. You interpret pain as failure, as injustice, as loss. But once you strip away the story, pain becomes a neutral force, raw, honest, and direct. It teaches resilience when you stop resisting it. It loses its power when you face it head on. Machiavelli would remind you that pain reveals who you are when the masks fall away. It shows the true quality of your spirit. Anyone can appear strong when life is easy, but character is measured when everything collapses. Do you fold under the pressure, or do you use the fire to temper your will? Each hardship, each betrayal, each sleepless night is a forge, and you are the metal. The more you endure, the less you fear. The less you fear, the freer you become. Suffering, to Machiavelli, was never something to run from. It was the price of transformation. You cannot grow sharper without friction. You cannot become disciplined without discomfort. The path to greatness demands pain, because only pain can strip away comfort and reveal what you are truly made of. The world tests every man with hardship, but few pass the test. Most wish to be strong, but they do not wish to suffer. Yet the two are the same. To desire strength without pain is to desire light without fire. The unbreakable mind accepts this. It does not curse the furnace, because it knows that from the flames, iron is born. 5. Self-reliance, the Machiavellian law of survival. Machiavelli's coldest truth was also his most liberating. Depend on no one more than you must.
He understood that every bond of dependency, no matter how comforting it feels, is a subtle form of control. When someone feeds your confidence, they can also starve it. When someone provides your stability, they can also take it away. To Machiavelli, the man who needs too much from others is already conquered. He is not defeated by enemies, but by his own reliance. The moment your peace, your validation, or your direction depends on another person, you have given away the keys to your own fortress. True power, Machiavelli believed, begins with self-reliance, the ability to sustain yourself mentally, emotionally, and strategically. This does not mean isolation, it means internal independence. It means standing so firmly within your own convictions that even if the entire world misunderstands you, you remain unmoved. You do not need to announce your struggles or seek sympathy. You carry your burdens in silence because you know that silence strengthens you while complaint weakens you. Self-reliance is not loneliness, it is sovereignty. The quiet realization that you have everything you need within yourself to endure.
A Machiavellian thinker understands the utility of others but never worships it. He forms alliances but never illusions. He collaborates but never becomes dependent. He knows that every relationship, personal, political, or social, can shift with circumstance, and therefore he prepares for the day when he must stand alone. When others panic at abandonment, he remains calm. When others beg for help, he strategizes. He trusts but verifies. He loves but never surrenders his autonomy. That is how he survives betrayal without bitterness, solitude without despair, and power without corruption. The self-reliant mind is the most dangerous kind, calm, calculating, complete. It moves through the world like an empire unto itself, drawing strength not from circumstance but from character. No threat can break it, no loss can unmake it, because it needs nothing external to remain whole. Machiavelli would say that the greatest illusion of modern man is that he needs constant validation, companionship, or recognition to survive. But the truth is harsher and far greater. The moment you stop depending on others for your identity, you become untouchable. The moment you realize you can build, rebuild, and rise on your own, you no longer fear losing anything, because nothing essential can ever be taken from you again. 6. Turning betrayal into power. Few experiences cut as deeply as betrayal. It is not the loss that hurts most, it is the revelation. You realize that the hands you trusted were the ones tightening the noose, that the words you believed were the ones designed to deceive. Betrayal shakes the foundations of trust, forcing you to confront an uncomfortable truth. People act not out of loyalty, but out of interest. Machiavelli knew this better than anyone. He lived in a world of shifting alliances, false smiles, and convenient loyalties. To him, betrayal was not tragedy, it was inevitability. And the wise do not curse inevitability, they prepare for it. Machiavelli would say that betrayal is not merely an attack, it is information. It reveals two things at once: the character of the betrayer and the vulnerability of the betrayed. Each betrayal is a mirror reflecting your own blind spots, where you trusted too easily, believed too quickly, or depended too heavily. The naive see betrayal as the end of trust. The wise see it as the beginning of awareness. Once you are betrayed, you awaken to the nature of power, that loyalty is fragile, and that motives often hide behind masks of affection, virtue, or friendship. This understanding doesn't make you cynical, it makes you strategic. The unbreakable mind studies betrayal like a general studies the battlefield.
It observes patterns, the tone that changed before the lie, the silence that preceded abandonment, the flattery that masked manipulation. Each lesson sharpens the mind. Each wound strengthens perception. You stop expecting loyalty from those who cannot even be loyal to themselves. You stop assuming morality in a world ruled by gain. The moment you understand that betrayal is part of human nature, it loses its power to destroy you. You no longer react with shock. You respond with wisdom. With time, betrayal ceases to hurt and begins to instruct. It refines you into something far more dangerous, someone who sees clearly. You no longer dwell on the pain. You extract the pattern. You no longer seek revenge. You cultivate resilience. You no longer break. You adapt. This is the Machiavellian transformation, from victim to strategist, from idealist to realist, from broken to unbreakable. The man who learns from betrayal becomes immune to it. He no longer fears deception because he expects it and prepares for it. And that calm awareness, that cold clarity, is what turns pain into power.
7. The cold calm of power. Machiavelli's final lesson is the most difficult to embody, yet it is the mark of true mastery. Power is calm. Not loud, not boastful, not reactive. Calm. Weakness, on the other hand, is noisy. It shouts to be seen, argues to be right, and explodes when it feels insecure. The truly powerful have no need for that. They do not chase validation because they know their worth. They do not fight every battle because they understand that not every battle matters. The stronger your mind becomes, the quieter it grows. You stop performing. You stop proving. You stop reacting. You simply are. This is what Machiavelli meant by the cold calm of power, the quiet dominance of a mind that has faced storms and no longer trembles. It is the serenity that comes from having seen the worst and survived it. When your mind becomes unbreakable, your presence changes. You move differently, slower, sharper, more deliberate. You speak less, but when you do, your words carry weight. You act with precision, not impulse. You radiate an aura that says, I do not need control, because I already have it, over myself. That is the most commanding form of power there is. When life breaks you, when betrayal cuts deep, when failure humbles you, when loss tears you apart, Machiavelli would tell you to look deeper. The breaking is not punishment, it is revelation. It shows you where your attachments live, where your fears hide, where your illusions still hold power over you. Each fracture is an invitation to strengthen the mind. Through every hardship, you train your inner world to remain still while the outer world burns. You build a fortress within yourself that no chaos can enter. This is Machiavelli's cold law. Not cruelty, but clarity. Not emotional numbness, but emotional control. It is the mastery of one's own reactions, the art of being untouched by what destroys others. The world will continue to test you. It always will. But when your mind becomes unbreakable, you stop fearing those tests. You begin to welcome them. Because each test reminds you of your strength, each hardship polishes your calm, and each betrayal proves your sovereignty. That is the cold calm of power, the final evolution of a mind that nothing and no one can break. You are not meant to live soft. You are not meant to crumble under pressure. You are meant to evolve, to become the kind of person who stands firm while others fall apart.
Train your mind every day, through discomfort, through silence, through solitude. Watch how the world begins to respect you, not because you seek power, but because you are power. Remember, strength isn't built when life is easy. It's built when life breaks you, and you refuse to stay broken. That is the law of Machiavelli. That is the path of the unbreakable.